Okay, we're going to get started. Hello and welcome to Lunch and Learn. My name is Malia Height. I am the Executive Coordinator of Educator Licensing here at the Utah State Board of Ed. And we have some online folks that are participating via Zoom. So I will use the microphone, even though I have an extraordinarily loud indoor voice. That's 15 years of secondary high school teaching. So today our intent is to really go over just the very basics of licensing and then open it up to what kind of questions do you have that we can help you with. And that's how we're going to get started. So today we're going to go over just the basics of the educator licensing structure, the pathways to get a professional license, and then how can we help? So it's very brief. So navigating educator licensing oftentimes feels like you are on a wild ride and you don't know where you're going and where you're coming from and how to get there. And that is unfortunately true. There's a lot of complexities and because it's a world of compliance, there's lots of check boxes. But the legislature and the Utah State Board of Ed simplified it 3 years ago. It may still seem a little complicated, and it is still a little complicated, but we went from 19 different license types and 47 pathways to 3 license types and 2 pathways. So it's a much happier, simpler place to be like, well, this applies to you. No, this doesn't apply to you. It's very much more simple. Okay. So here's our roadmap to becoming a professional licensed person. There's the 3 license levels. We'll talk about those license levels: professional, associate, LEA specific, and then the ways that you can be qualified to teach. So what is an educator license? An educator license is like a tree. There's lots of different parts. I heard somebody in the bathroom talking about how they're doing their tree section right now in their school. And so the parts of a tree, specifically this is a deciduous tree, are the parts of an educator license. So we have the trunk, which is like the biggest part, and that's the license. And every teacher has one license. And the branches are license areas of concentration, and you can have lots of those. That's like preschool special ed or elementary ed or early childhood are all different branches on the tree. If you add school leadership, that's a different branch. And then content-specific endorsements are little leaves on the branches. So if you have an ESL endorsement, that could be a leaf on your branch of early childhood education on your tree trunk that is your license. Okay. On our website, there is a link to this infographic that kind of just explains those a little more in detail. The minimum requirements for licenses, as well as the available license areas, and some of the endorsements that are available. We have about 161 different endorsements in the state of Utah, about half of those being in career and technical ed. So here are the 3 license levels. Professional means you have finished all of your preparation, you did your student teaching, you don't have to take any more classes, you are a professionally licensed teacher. Associate means you're doing something to work toward being a professionally licensed teacher, and you've met a minimum standard. And then the LEA specific license it's kind of your emergency LEA get out of jail free card. So if you employ a general education teacher, and a school their school board can say, we want this person to have an LEA specific license because they haven't yet met the requirements for an associate or professional license. On the infographic, it tells what some of those basic requirements are. We're going to go over a couple of them because they're a little more relevant than others. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so this is right on our website. Which is schools.utah.gov/licensing. And it is this bottom, it's just right here on the front page. Yeah. Okay, so here are the 3 pathways. There's the traditional pathway, which some of us did, which was the university preparation program. You went to Weber State, you got your degree in elementary education, you got your license in elementary education when you graduated. And that is true of about half of the educators in Utah. The other half have done or are completing some sort of alternate preparation program. In the past, that was ARL or APT, and today it looks like the APPLE program, the alternate pathway to professional licensure. And then there's the local school board authority, which is that LEA specific, which is just an emergency credential. This is somebody who can do the job. We feel will do a good job if they have enough support, and we want to give them a specific license to teach at our school. So our goal for all educators is to land in the professional educator license land. This population is actually a little bit outdated. The current number is just over 41,000 individuals with a professional license in Utah. And we're going to talk about the road to get there. And you'll notice that this road has 2 pathways. Because there are 2 pathways. There's 2 lanes. You can be in the university lane or you can be in the alternate prep lane. There are no other lanes. This is it. If you come to Utah, having been a teacher in another state, I was a teacher in a couple other states before I moved to Utah. I had done one of these 2 things. And so teachers coming from out of state also have to meet one of these 2 requirements. They have to have either completed a university program or an alternate prep program. The LEA specific license is, we're not there yet. We just look forward to where the LEA specific license shows up in the graphic. It's very exciting. Okay, so the pathways. So university, APPLE, and then the third is the APPLE SPED program. And that is the alternate preparation program that is offered here at the USBE. And it is how one can be qualified to teach special ed or preschool special ed. So those are the critical things. Alternate ed prep. So for APPLE SPED, to get into the APPLE SPED program, which is likely a relevant space for you all, preschool teachers, it's the special ed preschool SPED, and it is designed to meet the IDEA requirements. So individuals who are enrolled in APPLE SPED can function as a special educator in the state of Utah. Okay. So if somebody's in the car and they got a job, but they're not yet on the road, they can't get to the professional license yet. One of the things that they can do to be qualified is to get an associate license. That's that second tier down of license types. The basic requirements for an associate license are a bachelor's degree. You either have to have it earned or be enrolled in a Utah program that will give you your degree and your license. There's some basic pedagogical Canvas modules that teach the very, very basics about classroom management and educator ethics, special ed requirements, and there's one other. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Oh, the UETs. So the teaching standards, effective teaching standards. And then there's a content specific competency that's required. So in the world of like secondary education, if you have a degree in biology, then you can get your associate license to teach biology. So your degree major can lead directly into a secondary content area. For the preschool space, there's 2 license areas that qualify for preschool. It's the preschool special ed for SPED, or early childhood education. And the requirements for early childhood education are to do the bachelor's degree, the modules, and then the content competency used to be you had to take the praxis, but that is no longer a requirement. You may now demonstrate that you have basic content competency in math, social studies, reading, writing, and science by showing that you took college level courses in those areas. And all of that information is detailed on our website. But if you graduated from a Utah institution, or one of your teachers graduated from a Utah institution with a bachelor's degree, they have met those requirements. So the praxis is no longer a barrier that's keeping people out of the teaching field, which is awesome. And this is what we talked about. So the praxis is an option for maybe if you have a biology degree, but you want to teach chemistry, but you don't have enough chemistry to get the associate level endorsement, you can take a chemistry praxis and qualify. And then for special ed, there's a specific requirement that you have to have basics in special ed content. You can get that through completing Jumpstart. You have to have special ed law, the very basics of SPED law. You can do the USB SPED law class, or you can have a SPED law class that you took at a university. So that's one additional thing for special ed license areas that's required so that we can meet the federal minimum. For preschool special ed, yes. If it's anything special ed or preschool special ed, they have to have the special ed content and SPED law. Okay, now we get to the fun person who's not on the path and maybe doesn't want to ever get on the path, but they're not there. And so what do you do to qualify the teacher? You can get them an LEA specific license, and that's the school sponsored license. That's an emergency certificate that says this person's qualified to be a teacher in the state of Utah and has the roles and rights and responsibilities of being a licensed educator, but hasn't yet gotten on the pathway to being a licensed teacher. Yes.
You said that it's like an emergency type of thing. So it's like until they get until they get in their right.
So the LEA specific license that you're required, it's good for 3 years, and it's only valid in general education. So preschool SPED doesn't qualify for an LEA specific license. So if they're like an early childhood education, you can give them an LEA specific that's valid for 3 years. And after 3 years, you can renew it for another 3 years. So you can, and that's renewable forever, never, amen, until the rule changes. Or until they qualify for an associate or professional license. Yes. I want to go. Yeah, so if you're hired at one school, say you're at Mountain School and you've got an LEA specific license to teach there, but you quit that job and go to Alpine School District, then if that's the license type, then you have to work with the HR department with Alpine School District to see if that's an option for their district, because they may have different rules. So it doesn't transfer, and if you end employment, it immediately expires. Oh, here's our website. I even had a little thing. So this is the URL for our website. It has most of the information you could ever want to know. We're in the process of revamping all of USBE websites, and those will be different starting in January, hopefully better. So it'll look a little different in January. We're going to organize it a little bit more for the person consuming the information. So it'll be, I'm a brand new educator to Utah, or I am already a Utah educator, or I'm a school or an admin that needs some licensing support. So just know this is what it looks like today, but in January, it's going to be a brand new year. USIMS is, excuse me, is our online educator data system. And it is slowly taking over for Cactus, which if you've been an educator for a while, you know Cactus. Cactus is the comprehensive something, something, something system that is the educator record system. It's 24 years old. It can legally rent a car. So USIMS is designed to take over that functionality and expand on it. And currently, it is the website where an individual can start their educator record in Utah, can request background checks. This is where they start that process. They complete an ethics review in USIMS. And if you need to renew your license, your professional license, it also goes through this website. So that is the end of my formal information. And now I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes. It's expired in month. Okay. So to repeat the question for the people on Zoom so they can hear it. She has a license in Montana that is now expired, but she's now a Utah educator. Yay. Welcome to Utah. And what do you do to get your license done today? So you wouldn't necessarily have to renew your Montana license. So please save those dollars. But you do need to have them send a letter saying that you're eligible to renew your license, which most agencies are happy to do that. Montana is pretty nice about those kinds of things. And then what you're going to do is on the website, you're going to go to this apply button, which is this purple with the arrow icon. And then you're going to go to the tab that says out of state. And here, there's a checklist that will tell you exactly step by step all of the things that you have to do. And it's like, go to USIMS and make your account, step 1. It'll take you step by step through the thing. We also call this process is called license equivalency review, which is how you'll see it in the new website. It'll be license equivalency review instead of out of state, because some people live in Utah but do an online program somewhere else, and then they have a license they need reviewed. But this is the process that you would follow, and it's pretty simple for license. If you had a professional level license in another state, very simple. Yep, as long as we have the letter that says you're eligible to renew it, then we're fine. We just want to make sure that it wasn't expired because you did something naughty. That's all. Yeah, so you don't have to renew it. But no, so there's one test that is, well, for early childhood, and which is my guess is what your license was in Montana. Okay, so elementary education is going to be the license area you will likely be awarded, which will be the same, K-8. Did you teach for a year in Montana? Perfect. That's all we need. We will need a verification of experience that shows your experience as a teacher, and then your license, and then just follow these steps. And it should take, if you include all of the things and send us your transcripts, which is part of the step. Once we have all of that information, it takes about 2 weeks. We're quite quick. Yes.
We need to change like you can, and just how does it work?
Yeah, so when you go to USIMS, this is what it'll look like, and you'll hit this button that says sign in or sign up. We will transfer all of your license information So you don't have to like send us a copy or we have all of that data. You will just have to sign in and say what your name is and your social security number and your cactus number. And then that allows us to link up your new USIMS record to your old cactus record. Yeah. You don't have to do until you have to renew your license. Yeah.
That means that cactus is gonna be.
So the information that is currently in Cactus is going to go into USIMS. Whether or not you access that information through USIMS is up to you, but you will have to do it when you renew it. But we will keep track of all of your information. Not to worry. Just because Cactus will hopefully one day retire, we're not going to lose all of that information. We'll have all of that information still. Yes, Katrina.
Talking about the associate like
Probably. So if you go to that same apply tab, there's what the second tab over is called the Associate Educator License tab. And it will have the checklist, just like the license equivalency review out of state had a checklist. There will be one for elementary or early childhood. And this little offset thing right here are the content competencies. So you can either, if they're from another state, they can either take a praxis and pass the praxis, or if you've got 6 credits of writing on a transcript somewhere, anywhere, I don't care where, then you don't have to do the praxis. And we're right now in the process of adjusting the life and physical science to include chemical science, which is one of the things we're going to, because Utah law is life and physical, but doesn't include chemical, bizarrely. So we're going to adjust that. That's forthcoming. But if they have the credits anywhere on a transcript that's college level, level 100 or 1000, depending, higher, I'm fine. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, I'm not. My license expired years going. I have 2 licenses now.
Sure. Okay.
I have.
You have preschool through 3 now. It's preschool through grade 3. If you is early childhood. Yeah. So I'm just going to shut this door. Yeah. That was a workout. Okay. So in 2020 is when our structure changed from like the million maps to like the one pathway or the one road. And so early childhood education is now preschool through grade 3 is what it's qualified you to teach. And if it's renewed, if it's professional level, you just have to renew it again. So if it's so here's how you find out. So if you log in to your USIMS account, here, I'm going to log into my one that shows my license. So when you log into your USIMS account, this is what it'll look like eventually when you've done the things that you need to do. And your license info is right up here, and it'll show you exactly what your license level is. Okay. And if it's associate, that means you have to get into one of those lanes to get to professional. So either a university program or an Apple program, an alternate program. So if your associate license is still valid, then you can teach on that until it expires. With the associate? Oh, then you should, yeah. So if it's, so it may have been that, was this a few years ago? Huh. Maybe talk to me afterwards. Let's look at it and figure it out so I can give you the right direction. Okay, there was another question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they're the best.
Yeah. So if you go to this roadways icon is the Apple icon. And then right under here is special ed and preschool special ed, and it's a link to the Apple SPED program.
You said that.
For special ed, it's Apple SPED or a university. So if somebody has a degree already and they want to be a special ed teacher, they could complete a master's program to have that license, earn the license, which would be then qualify them for the TSSP bonus, which is an extra several $1,000s a year. It pays for your master's in 2 years, plus lane changes, right? There are also graduate certificate programs at Utah State and Weber State that it's just the teacher prep stuff that is after you have your bachelor's degree, and then you can earn your license that way. So, but it's a university or Apple SPED. Those are your only two options.
Settings. Do that. Settings would they?
So for Apple SPED, they can get either their mild moderate endorsement or severe endorsement, or if they want to do any of the other less popular ones, then they could teach. The way that rule is set up now is that any setting in special education, if you have a special education license with any endorsement, you're qualified. The couple like things that are different, or if you're in USDB and they're teaching in sign language or they're teaching, then there's a couple other things, options there. But generally speaking, if you have a severe endorsement, you can teach in a severe environment or a mild moderate environment. Yeah. Do you have a question?
You really.
It's okay.
So I have a professional license.
Okay.
And I. F.
Okay.
Students go to language, I don't teach inside.
Sure.
Best way is a 3-year.
If you,
You know, I know you're two of this.
hmm,
Right? And my
Yeah.
boss seems to think that I have to go do a master's. And I'm trying to figure out a way to not get another master. In terms of educational experience.
So if you're in LSL, then you either need special ed with an ASL or LSL endorsement, which could go through Apple SPED, or Deaf Ed. And Deaf Ed is a master's, but that is not the only option. So Apple SPED will look at all of the other things that you've done and say, oh, you're already a professional teacher. You're already a professional administrator. You've taken SPED law. You've got like those kinds of things. Oh, and also you've been teaching at USDB. So you've been on the front line and have competencies that maybe don't show up on a college transcript. Yes. So, but Apple SPED will be able to look at all of that and say, okay, here's the pathway for you to get your SPED license.
Apply for Apple SPED preschool and then work out that individualized.
Yep, that individualized path. Yep, that's correct. Apple SPED, PK SPED is going to be the pathway for sure. And there's a lot of overlap. Since you have the early childhood, you've got most of all, you've got all the child development stuff, all of that stuff, and it's just going to be the special ed component.
Like looking at all that over again.
No, unless you have a drive to have a deaf ed, but
As funny as I do, I just also have 2 children to raise.
no, I hear you. Life dictates a lot of things. Yes. Uh-huh.
Which
Okay. So the question is, let me rephrase using the acronym that I think I understood. CDA is a certified daycare assistant. See, I don't even know. Okay, it's through, is it through, okay. Do they have, okay, great. Do they have a bachelor's degree? No. So then they're going to have to do a bachelor's degree somewhere. And so since they have to get the degree anyway, it makes sense for that degree to be an education, and then they can do their license and degree at the same time. But they, if that person also does have a bachelor's degree in underwater basket weaving, whatever, then an Apple program would absolutely be appropriate. Yep. Yes, sir. Oh, I love it. So we have we're very unique in Utah in that if you have a degree from another country, we take that degree, no problem. If you have an education degree from another country and a year of experience in that country in education, then that qualifies you for a professional license in Utah. Yeah. So if you've got friends who were teachers in whatever country they're from and taught, and they have a degree, then they can welcome to the field of teaching. We need teachers. Yeah. Yes.
I've got a bachelor's in German literacy.
Ooh,
Sehr
gut.
Would the Apple program be a better choice for me, or would I need to go back to school and get the country?
So at this point, it depends. This would be the advice that I would give my student teachers who were brand new. They had their brand new degree. I would say get a master's because it's going to pay more. It pays for itself in 3 years. But if you've got kiddos or life circumstances that are like, I can't do a whole master's program right now, Apple, absolutely. Yeah. So it depends on which school you're at, but most school districts in the state pay more, significantly more, if you have an earned master's degree. Like it usually is like $3,000 or $4,000 more each year in salary. So it pays for itself pretty quick. But again, it depends on where you work. Other questions? Yes.
I do have a question.
Hey, she has a professional license.
Is there any or something like that?
You do not have to get a master's. So being qualified to be a teacher in Utah is not dependent on your degree. Your degree is one of the ways that you can qualify for certain things, but it's not a requirement. But if you go to the Educator endorsements tab, which is this little funny sage pencil icon, under the applications tabs, it has all the different content endorsements that are available. And you maybe want to look at these literacy ones, this literacy specialist. And those requirements, they're down here a ways. Those would be a way to increase your marketability and increase what you're qualified to work as in the state of Utah. So you could be a reading coach with this endorsement.
In a job.
Oh, yes. Yep, for sure. Yeah, and you can do that with any of these endorsements that will attach to your license. Educator, technology, English as a second language. Those are kind of like the big hallmark ones, and then the literacy for sure. Any other questions? Anything online happening? No. You? How dare? Okay. Cool. Well, I'll be around. So if you've got specific questions that you're like, I have a question, but I didn't want to air it in front of everybody, I'm happy to answer those questions and we can look at your specific situation and kind of tease out the next step. And my staff is super happy to help with any questions you have. If you're like, oh, she showed me where on the website I needed to go and I can't remember, if you call my staff, we will help you. I have the best staff. They are so helpful. Oh, and my link in my thing is bad. But on our website, there's a link right here that says contact us, the licensing team. And there's emails and phone numbers, and we're happy to help any way we can. Okay. Thank you all. And I'll stick around. I don't know when their next thing starts. Do you know? Okay.
There's a session in here.